Welcome to DeTalks with Allison.
Oh shit, we're recording.
You are the best podcast naming person.
This is the show where we sit down with comedians and other funny people, make them take their vitamins, and ask them about their life or whatever else we get into. Let's hope Charlie got it right this time. Hey guys, welcome to DeTalks with Allison. We got Ken Hamlett in the studio and we're laughing because Charlie already destroyed the wall by knocking a picture off of it.
I was literally just talking with him about other people shitting on him
Yes.
for fucking up stuff, and now I get it. Like I get it completely.
Gary's laughing in the back. Oh God, yes. Well, hello. Now you understand, and it's crooked again. That picture has been crooked every single time I come in here, and it drives me crazy. But I think they leave it like that intentionally, just so Charlie hits it.
Oh man.
Well, Ken Hamlett, hello.
What a way to start.
What a way to start. This is how it always goes. That's why the end is just let's hope Charlie got it right this time. No, Charlie's great, but we also hate him. So it's a good balance.
Oh yeah.
Well, welcome to Austin.
Yeah, it feels this time the people that know our relationship always shit on Austin.
Yes.
And this trip hasn't been terrible besides me missing my flight down here Friday.
Oh, is that why you came up yesterday?
Yeah, because I missed my flight.
Oh shit.
And I was trying to be a cheap person. I was like, I'm gonna fly Spirit,
Right.
save money.
Yeah.
And then I missed my flight. Like I got there just barely right after they stopped letting
Right.
people through. And I was like, whatever. I miss my flights all the time. I'm
Yeah.
just late everywhere I go. And so I was like, whatever. I'll just get on the next flight. And it's Spirit, so they only have one plane a day or something. And I was like, what?
Dude, I just came back from visiting my family in upstate New York on
Uh-huh.
Friday, and I flew JetBlue. Like, whenever I fly somewhere, especially like up there, it's like
Yeah.
Austin to Albany. They're both small airports. It's usually like way more expensive because of that. So I'll just Google flights, search the cheapest option, and go with that.
Yeah.
And it was JetBlue this time. So we flew JetBlue, and this is my first time on there. And it was funny because, like, if you buy the cheapest ticket on JetBlue, you still have to pay like $30 for a check bag or something, and you don't get an extra carry-on bag. And I just heard this lady at the ticket counter when I was waiting for our last flight home. She was like arguing with the ticket attendant because she was like, "What do you mean I don't get a carry-on? Like, this is free on every single other airline." And the lady was like, "Oh no, it's $50 or something if you bring it with you," and like didn't prepay. And the lady was like, "Man, I flew JetBlue to save money. I should have just gone with Spirit after this shit." And she straight up told the lady.
Oh,
Like, they
man.
get you somewhere. They always figure out how to do it.
Yeah, I literally, so when I flight, they made me pay a rebooking fee
No.
because I missed my flight, and it was $100, and I was like, I should have just freaking flown United like I always do.
right.
And I spent the same money to be on a less comfortable airplane.
Right, with like people screaming on it for no reason.
Yeah.
The only good thing about Spirit that I've seen is they have their own terminal for the poor people at the Austin airport who fly Spirit.
Yeah.
And it's lit as fuck, dude. Like,
You can bring alcohol through
Yeah.
security. They're just like, we don't care.
whatever. My favorite new line on airplanes too is like, at least on JetBlue, they were announcing like, "Please, as a reminder, you are not allowed to consume any alcohol you might have brought aboard the flight." And I was like, bro.
Like, how often does that happen?
Right.
It's
I'm just picturing someone taking as many of those those
The
single
little-
shot
yeah.
bottles as possible through security just in a fanny pack.
Man, the last time I flew, I actually did that. I just like brought my own, like, 'cause I was trying to sneak drinking at my parents' house, and so I was like, I can't hide a fifth. So I
Right.
just bought a bunch of like little, and I was drinking Fireball too,
Oh.
so it didn't smell like alcohol.
Yeah.
So I smell like cinnamon, and I got hot tamales, like the little hot candies. So I was like, look, I'm not drinking.
It's just hot tamale. New deodorant, mom.
So I like because I bought a big pack of them the last day, and so I just brought a bunch of them on the plane with me. I was like, this is less than 3 ounces.
This is
It's
good.
Fine.
Oh, that's so on brand for you too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
I guess maybe we should start. Well, first of all, I say it's on brand for you because your podcast is called A Drunken Night Out.
Yeah.
You are notorious for having the superpower of no hangovers.
None, yeah.
But somehow you wake up early and that's your punishment
that
after you
holy
drink.
I went to bed last night at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Like I stayed up super late.
Yeah.
And then I woke up this morning at 8 after drinking all
No.
night. And I was like, what kind of bullshit? I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
Like I should be able to sleep in. And then I was like, go back to sleep. We're gonna go back to sleep.
Right.
And I woke up 40 minutes later and I was just like, fuck it, I'm up.
That
Like,
sucks.
We're just
This podcast is brought to you by MSW Nutrition. You know those frilly looking cocktails we're always drinking on the show? That is from them. That is their Boost product. And MSW Nutrition is a supplement line designed to help support your body in as many ways as possible, starting with the liver. Liver health is really important, and a lot of people don't know this, but by helping to repair liver health, you're supporting your body's biggest detox organ so that it can do its job taking care of the rest of you. I always like to talk about this as if it's like an air filter. You got your air filter for your AC unit. Once that gets dirty, yeah, it kind of still works, but you need to change it out every once in a while or at least clean it. The liver is the same way. Once you start detoxifying the liver, it makes weight loss, hormone balance, all those health goals be a ton easier. So really, really cool that they start by targeting the liver. There's all sorts of supplements by MSW Nutrition. They've got some for mood, stress, energy, weight loss, gut health, immunity, and other things like anti-aging, all the stuff that you want. It's probably on there. Any product carrying the MSW Nutrition label will be produced in FDA certified labs, and it will contain the most bioavailable version of those nutrients possible. That's the other thing a lot of people don't think about with their supplements is there's several different forms of any different nutrient. And a lot of supplement companies cut corners by producing the cheapest one, which usually is absorbed by the body the least. So MSW Nutrition makes sure that they are using the one that your body will absorb the best. So make sure to check out their website at mswnutrition.com to see all the latest stacks to help you reach whatever your health goals are. And if you make sure to use the code DETALKS, that is DETALKS, at checkout, you can save 15% on anything you buy. That is code DETALKS, DETALKS. And yeah, you're going to love it. Also want to give a shout out to MSW Health Lounge in Westlake Hills, Texas. That is on the west side of Austin. They are the guys that let us use their How Do You Health studios for our podcast, and they hook us up quite literally with vitamin IVs anytime myself or a guest wants one. These guys follow the same principles as MSW Nutrition, as you can probably tell. They started the supplement line, and they're amazing. They know so much shit about nutrition and health in general. If you are looking for vitamin IVs of top quality, and quite honestly, the cheapest around, check out MSW Health Lounge in Westlake Hills, Texas, and let them know I sent you. DeTalks is produced and sponsored by Big Laugh Comedy. Big Laugh Comedy is changing the world one comedy experience at a time. Big Laugh Comedy is the first ever company that provides you with a complete comedy experience, from live shows throughout Texas in Austin, San Antonio, San Marcos, and Fort Worth, to comedy news and everything in between. If you're looking to laugh your ass off with some of the best comedians in the world, or you want to know what your favorite comedian is up to, you need to visit Big Laugh Comedy at blcomedy.com. Get exclusive content and first dibs on tickets by becoming a VIP for free. Go to blcomedy.com/VIP-list.
It's a superpower, and it's the dumbest. I would rather have a hangover
Yeah.
than get up 4 hours later after drinking
Right.
all night. So.
You're like, well, I guess I'll actually be on time for Allison's podcast today. Then
Yeah,
I was the late one.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, this is.
Because I also went to bed almost that late last night, but I slept until noon. And that's why I was late, because I just can't handle myself if I wake up late.
You're like, I'm just gonna sleep in all day and
Yeah.
do absolutely nothing. That's why I didn't get any texts from you, and I was like, are we still doing this today?
It was like 1 o'clock, and I was like getting my coffee and like making food, and I was like, oh yeah, Ken, I need to text Ken.
Let me have breakfast now at
Yeah.
lunchtime.
I always text my boyfriend like good morning, and if I wake up afternoon, he's just like, oh, okay, I see what happened last night.
Like long night? Yeah.
So you mentioned our relationship as well. We met through Big Laugh Comedy.
Yeah.
We co-hosted a show called Triple Threat
Mhm.
for how long did we do that? Like
It was pretty much like
6 months at least.
It was at least 6 months. It was a long time.
Yeah.
That was the longest running. No.
It was one
it
of the
the
longest
longest?
running virtual shows they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we went all the way through until they stopped.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like,
Yeah.
so this is actually our first time meeting in person too.
yeah.
But like, I felt like you and I had a really good co-host like chemistry
For sure.
because we both like to roast. We can both handle it if we get roasted.
Yeah.
That was kind of the whole premise of the show.
Was
Like,
just to shit on other people.
yeah,
It was great. It was great.
when I started like explaining to people that we had a virtual show, I'm like, it wasn't stand up.
Yeah, that's every time I'm like, it's not. When I would book people for it, I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not stand up.
It's actually not allowed to do stand up on this
That
shit.
became a rule. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was because of the Austin comic. So thanks, Austin.
Here we go. The theme of this show is Ken hates Austin.
Yeah.
So,
For sure. I am not a fan of Austin. Now Austin comedy is better.
It's
I will say
different.
that it's different, and it's mostly because it's not Austin comics. So that's the reason why it's good now. But I don't like Austin in general.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to like it.
yeah.
I'm starting to like it.
Well, you made a comment before we started that you don't like sprawling cities.
I hate sprawling cities.
Yeah, and like Austin proper really isn't that big, but when I mean, you live in Chicago, so
Yeah.
you're used to having like public transit, and we
Yes.
don't have that here.
Oh my God. I was going to, when I landed, I was going to take a bus up to my buddy's place. He stays in Pflugerville.
Oh shit!
And so I'm like, oh, that's right outside the city.
right.
And then I looked on the thing, and it was like, I had to wait 25 minutes for a bus to come. And I was like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Why did, like, you don't, in Chicago, everything is like every 5 minutes.
Right.
So if you miss one train, you're like, whatever, I'll sit here for
Whatever.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Another train will come. You miss a bus, there's another bus right around the corner.
Right.
Y'all have 2 buses here. no public transportation. It takes you a day and a half. I'm like, I'll just walk. Fuck
Yeah.
it. Y'all hate the scooters here, but I'm like, I would rather just have a scooter all day
Just
and look like
scoot.
a fucking loser
Right.
than to wait all day. Am I not supposed to cuss also? Because I
No,
cuss a
you
lot.
can
Okay.
cuss. Please cuss.
So I'm like, I would rather be on a scooter. The first 2 times I was here, I spent all of my time on scooters. I never got lifts or anything.
Yeah.
And I would just get drunk as shit and ride scooters around. The best.
See, that's the one thing about the scooters though, is like those are the most dangerous form of drunk
For sure.
driving.
For sure. I got airborne on one of them, like going, and I was like, that was the moment where I was like, all right, maybe a little too drunk.
Right.
Maybe you gotta slow this thing down. Like not bomb a hill I was like bombing a hill over by the UT campus and
Right.
we just went airborne and I was like, oh,
fuck.
sobered
See,
up a little bit.
That's the moment of truth when you're like, okay, technically this only goes 15 miles per hour, but if I hit a hill right, I'm going 30.
I'm gonna go 20. plus.
Yeah.
I'm gonna push it.
Right.
I'm definitely gonna push it.
I know every time I've only ridden those a couple times. My boyfriend is like pro scooter all the way, and I'm like, you're who everyone in the comedy scene hates.
Wait, y'all don't. Why do y'all hate the scooters? I don't get it. What is the reason?
I don't know if we just learned this behavior from all the homeless people in town. But the homeless people hate them so much. Like, I've literally seen them, like, smashing them on the sidewalk. Like, one of my friends saw them with a pile next to the lake, just throwing them into the lake. And I don't know. I think it's just because, like, we don't, like you said, the city isn't big, like, structurally isn't built for how many people we have.
Yeah.
And so the scooters are just annoying because if they're on the sidewalk, they're technically illegal. Like, you're not technically supposed to ride anything on the sidewalk.
Really?
And yeah, because you can hit pedestrians. Like, bikes aren't allowed on the sidewalk either.
Yeah, that's everywhere.
But then, like, there's not enough
bike
good
lanes.
bike lanes
Yeah.
in town for the scooters. So the scooters just end up driving on the street and causing more traffic. I think that's like the main frustration. Plus, you also just look goofy as hell, like you already said.
Fuck it. It's a nice breeze. It's hot outside. Like I don't care. Judge me if you want to.
Right.
As I hop on my scooter out of the studio.
You're like, peace out, you walkers. Have fun on the bus in half an hour.
Yeah. Good luck if it ever comes. Oh man. Yeah. I love the scooters.
Yeah.
I ride bikes all the time in Chicago, and also so I get part of that then like hating it because it causes traffic,
Mhm.
but it's also like y'all have a lot of traffic anyways because it's a
Right.
fucking sprawling city.
Yeah.
Maybe-
Yeah. Everyone has to drive because there's no
'Cause
buses.
there's no buses. You see, fix the problem. The city, you're dumb. Like,
Yeah. The city tried putting in, we have one metro rail that goes from like northwest, like Cedar Park area, all the way down to like southeast by the airport.
Mm.
But it's just one track. So if you don't want to go to one of those 8 places,
It's just 2 stops. It's just
Yeah,
on
it's
opposite ends. You're like, cool. Now I have to catch a bus back halfway.
Right.
Like, I thought that one through well.
yeah, yeah,
job, Austin.
it's the catch-22 because Texans are like, I want to go on my own schedule. I got a truck. I can drive myself anywhere.
Yeah.
And then they like get mad when we try to spend money on fixing the rail because like no one's gonna use it anyway. Yeah, it's not good logic.
No, not at all.
No.
That's reason number 77 why I hate Austin. It's just one of the small. I just don't. It's also like ungodly hot here.
Yeah.
I like when I landed, I thought it was gonna. I was like, oh, it's because Chicago was stupid hot
Mhm.
right now. It's like 90 degrees with like 95% humidity.
Yeah.
And so it's just stupid. And I was like, I'm not even gonna pack pants.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm wearing this stupid ass outfit because I was like, oh, I'm gonna bring tights and shorts to go work out,
Right.
but I didn't pack extra underwear.
No.
So I was like, I had shorts because I didn't pack any pants, and I was like, I got shorts, but they're like shorter shorts. So I was like, I'm
Right.
not gonna fucking come up here free balling with little shorts. And I was like, I'll get canceled.
If you were freeballing and I was wearing this Hussy Magazine shirt, it would have actually probably been
It's
perfect.
been good reviews.
Yeah.
For sure. Good reviews.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, so and then I landed and I was like, oh, now I feel like an idiot because all I have is shorts because I was in the shade and I was like, oh, it's not even hot here right now.
Right.
And then I went out in the sun and I was like, oh, I'm
I'm
terribly
dying.
mistaken. It
Yeah.
is hot. Like, it is
Yeah.
stupid hot.
We get a little lucky with the humidity. Sometimes it gives us a break. But
Yeah, yesterday wasn't terrible early in the day.
Yeah.
And then it got kind of bad. Today is bad, though. The
If
humidity is gross.
if it rains from the hurricane that's hitting right now in Louisiana, like we're supposed to get some of the offshoot of that, then
There's
it'll
a hurricane happening close here.
Dude, there's a hurricane happening in New Orleans. It's like category 4. It just hit this morning.
Every time I come to Austin,
Yeah.
something fucked up happens.
Oh fuck. We better just like say our prayer that Ken doesn't miss his flight because of this fucking
I almost got caught in
hurricane.
the snowstorm last time. Like
That's
that was
right.
yeah,
Dude.
this is
Okay, can you tell me about that? Because I was
Oh,
so sad
man.
I missed you, and then Matt, who you brought with you, did
Yeah.
get stuck in the airport for like 4 days.
oh my god. That was an adventure. So we landed and everything was like fine. It was like cold or whatever. But then on the day, I was like, I'm not leaving on Monday. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna leave Sunday
Yeah.
after the show. So I left straight from the show and I went to go sleep in the airport because I was
Yeah.
like, I know that it's gonna get snowy and icy. Y'all are dumb in Texas and don't know how to drive
We
in
don't
ice
have
and
anything
snow.
for it.
Yeah, you're just like, well, fuck it. I guess we're staying home for a week.
Right.
So I was like, I'm just gonna go straight to the airport. I'm gonna be smart about this. Matt doesn't. Matt's like, no, I'm gonna fly out tomorrow. And I was like, no, dude, these flights are getting canceled.
No, yeah.
I slept. It was so cold in the airport. I slept in the airport, which happens sometimes. Like I'm always cheap when I
Right.
travel, and so I was like, fuck, I'll sleep in the airport. I don't care.
Yeah.
So I slept in the airport. It was cold as hell. I put on like all of my clothes.
You're like, this is why they complain about winter down here. They don't have heating systems.
Yeah, like also another reason why Austin is dumb. Like prepare somewhat. Like, yeah, so it's cold as hell. I'm freezing. I get up the next morning, every flight is canceled. Like they're canceling flights like left and right.
Yeah.
My flight gets canceled. And I'm like, no, there's no like I have to go back. I actually was leaving early because I was gonna be on some show, like one of the like Chicago police or something like that.
Yeah.
PD or fire or something. One of those shows. I was gonna do that and I had to cancel because my flight got canceled. And so then I was like, no, I have to get on a plane. I'm going home. Like I just don't
Yeah.
even want to be here.
Yeah.
I don't want to get stuck. My supervisor was already like, no, you
can't
can't
miss more work.
miss work. Yeah. And so I was like, well, I got to get home.
Right.
I'm standing in line talking to somebody and they opened another line and we're just like having a good conversation. And then I wasn't paying attention while they opened the other line to like change people's flights.
Right.
And so then I'm standing in line and then we finally get there. He's literally like, he's trying to go home. He's the last person that gets the flight. And I was like, wait, did you say, I was like, excuse me, did you just say that was the last ticket for the flight? And, and they were like, yeah, you have to stay till tomorrow. And I was like, no.
Fuck no.
I was like, no, please. And the dude was like, it's fine. You know what? You're a cool guy. You can take my flight.
Oh, you're so lucky.
I was like, dude, I will kiss you on the mouth right now. Like, you are saving my life. Because
Yeah.
I knew there was no chance that there was going to be any flights for the
Right.
rest of the day. So I literally got the last ticket on the last flight out of Austin. And I hit up my friend. I was like, dude, Matt, you're going to be fucked. They canceled every flight out of Austin is canceled.
Don't even come to the airport.
Yeah, I was like, don't do it. And he was like, no, I'll be fine. I'm going to go tomorrow. So I'm like, all right, good luck, dude. I would probably try to go to Houston like right now and just go get a flight.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And so I get on my flight. I land. I was so pissed off because I missed everything else that I can't like change my schedule for.
Right.
But I was happy that I got home.
Right.
And I hit up Matt, and he's like, he was like, yeah, your buddy Rice, my buddy Rice, man. He's not gonna give me a ride because the roads are icy.
Right.
And they're like, we're just shutting down the roads.
Yeah.
Because I don't like y'all don't have ice. Like
We don't have
de-icing.
salt. We don't have de-ice
Nothing.
anything.
y'all were like, they were just truck
Snow
drivers. They were
tires.
just people in their trucks like running with the freaking
Yes.
like home ice, like
Yes.
iodized ice. You're just like, what are you guys doing?
And then there's like
You don't have
one
anything?
like construction vehicle that's going down to try and push the ice off the
Yes.
road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, y'all don't even know how this works at all.
No.
Yeah, that was watching all that. So he's stuck though.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm just gonna catch an Uber. He caught a Uber. Somehow some crazy lunatic was like, I'm gonna
I'll
give
Uber
you a drive.
you. Yeah.
He paid $100+ for the Uber
To the airport.
to the airport. And when he got there, they completely shut down the road. Like after his Uber driver dropped him off at the airport, they were like, no more access in or out of the airport.
Oh no.
Like they shut down the shuttles. Nothing was going in or out of the airport. And so then he's just like, all right, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to sleep at the airport or whatever. It got so bad that they just sent all the staff home.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. No more airport means no like access means
Everything
no
was-
more staff, so we can't buy food.
Nothing.
Like-
Everything shut down. And then all the other people that were buying stuff, they went and like emptied out all of the like the boxes with the food. What are those called? Now I sound like an idiot.
Oh, the vending machine.
Vending machines.
Okay, the
The
boxes with
with the food. God damn.
I was like, delivery boxes?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The robot box, you know, it gives you snacks.
You put money in it, and then the crane arm
It
comes.
shits out food.
But so they emptied out all of those, and so he had like one bag of trail mix.
No.
And that's all he had.
And Matt already doesn't have extra fuel to.
No, yeah, he's
Matt-
a skinny dude.
Matt Banwart, we love you, but you're skinny.
You gotta get in the weight room, bro. You gotta-
That sucks. He was like live tweeting and Facebooking this whole thing, and I just felt like I was watching The Shining, but like I was just watching his mental descent.
Yeah, I was watching, and I'm like, dude, you're getting delirious.
Yeah.
Like, I like started checking in on him because it was like
Yeah.
you can see like the hope draining from his eyes. Like,
I don't think people understand, like, it was so bad. Like, even in Houston, my brother
Yeah.
and his wife live in Houston, and like they were like when they left their apartment, when they were finally able to get out and like find a hotel room somewhere, even in Houston, their apartment thermostat was reading like 35 degrees Fahrenheit. And like they had been in there for 3 days, you know, just trying to bundle up and like obviously no water, no power. And
Yeah.
so it's like the whole state was fucked. You know,
Yeah.
Houston's probably the last like
place.
major city that I would expect to do that because
Yeah.
it's
freaking on the
usually
go.
warmer. Yeah. So yeah, it was just crazy. And like you said, there's no infrastructure for it. We don't have ways to defrost the planes probably. Like,
Nothing.
no one knows how to drive in that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad, and he got stuck here for like 4 days.
I know.
I was just he was like he was like going to places, and they're like he went to a hotel. He got somebody else to come and pick him up, and
Yeah.
he paid an outrageous amount again. So like he took a huge L on the weekend.
Yeah, people are like,
Like-
comedy makes money. No.
No.
Usually shit like this happens.
Yeah, yeah.
it's like the universe is like, you're trying to make money with comedy. Here's how you're
Good
gonna
luck.
spend twice as much as what you just made.
Oh yeah, he did not make money.
No.
Like he lost so much money that weekend, and oh man, I was just like looking at him, and I'm like, dang, dude, I'm glad I'm home in my warm ass condo right now.
I'm glad I took my own advice, bro.
Yeah, get the fuck out of Austin.
We have fireplaces in Chicago if we lose electricity.
And you know what I did to get home? I caught the train. That's what I did.
And you know what? There was just as much snow in Chicago as there was in Austin,
And
probably.
It worked. None of the roads were shut down. Everything was fine. Chicago was fine. Yeah, that was a terrible weekend. Terrible weekend.
Yeah, I felt so bad for him. Like I got lucky because like Monday was the one day where it got sunny for a little bit, like
Yeah.
after the initial freeze, and then like it hit us more that night. And like my car would not drive in that shit, but my boyfriend has a car that's like low enough that we were able to drive on it.
Yeah.
So it's normally like 20 minutes to my parents' house from here. And it took us like 45 just going slowly on the highway in his car. And they live right by a hospital, so they didn't lose power because they're on the same power grid as the hospital.
That's sick.
So we like took our chances on Monday when there was a little bit of sun and
You're
drove
like,
up there.
We'll die on the road.
There were fucking like 7 people camping out in my apartment in Austin because ours was one of the only ones that didn't lose water, even though we lost power. So we had like all these people staying in my apartment, and me and my boyfriend are at my parents' house, like cooking our
Have
food
fun, yeah.
and using our toilets.
At least you'll have water.
I know. I was like, I invited everyone. They didn't want to take a chance, but it was just,
Jeez,
yeah.
That was rough.
it felt like being on the lifeboat in the Titanic. Good luck, guys.
Like, well, at least I got out. I don't
Yeah.
know the rest of y'all. Wish you could float to land on a piece of piano. I guess.
Bye, Jack. Oh, it's crazy. So you live in Chicago now, but you moved there from Washington State?
Yeah.
And that was Tacoma where you started comedy?
No, so I'm from Tacoma originally. And that's
Okay.
like born and raised. I started comedy in Oregon, like in Salem, Oregon. So I always rep Salem because that's where I really started comedy.
Right.
It's also where Ron Funches started comedy, but he doesn't rep Salem. So just putting that out there, Ron.
Called out.
Yeah. But I started in Salem, and then I moved to New York after college, and then I moved from New York to Washington, and then from Washington to Chicago.
So you just like going back and forth a lot.
Yeah, I like moving. During COVID, I was like, man, I should just move to New York again.
Yeah.
Like, it's cheap there.
It's cheap right now.
Cheap.
I know
A lot of empty apartments right now.
we were discussing the rent in New York before this,
Yeah.
and I said someone was paying like $1,600 for a 1-bedroom in the Upper West Side, and you're like, Upper West Side? That's great.
I was like, all right, if they move here, I'm taking their place. Fuck it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I like moving. I just get bored of cities so fast. Like,
So like you kind of just learn the ropes in a city, and you're like, all right, next one, let's go. Yeah.
I have ADHD like crazy, so everything for me is like, I just get bored so fast, and I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, I just got to move somewhere else. I got to get a new experience.
Right.
But that doesn't help because like you get established somewhere, and then you're just like, all right, time to leave.
All right, bye.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the one benefit, or maybe more than one benefit, but definitely one benefit is like if you move around a lot and like you're clearly good at comedy. So it's not like you're just going and like trying in all these different cities and leaving because it's not working out for you. So like for you,
Or
it's
maybe
like,
I was.
or maybe you were. I don't know, but like it's one of those things to me where it's like if you can get semi-established in a couple different places, then you have kind of a place like. You have a roadmap where you
Yeah.
can like if you wanted to go on tour or like go travel for a bit, you have all these places that you could go and like probably get booked.
Yeah.
You know, so that's good.
Yeah, that's really what I did for a lot of like especially like 2019. I was like on the road every freaking weekend.
Well,
and
because
I was
you
just
had
going back and
you had
forth.
quit your job to
Yeah,
do
Jesus
comedy
Christ.
full time, right?
That was March 2nd, 2020.
Oh.
So that was that was a rough time for me. Gosh.
That fucking because I remember when we first started doing our show, you mentioned that, and then I was like, dude, what timing?
Yeah, I was like, man, and the funny thing about like when I quit my job, I quit it in a way where I could not get unemployment.
Oh no.
I just was like, fuck you guys, I'm out of here. Like I was on my way to work
yeah.
and I got pissed off because they just changed my schedule. They added a client to my schedule, and I was like, you didn't communicate that with me or anything.
Right.
And I was just like, whatever, I'm not coming in today. And then I changed from like I'm not coming in today, like to I'm not coming in ever. Again. and I just went back late at night and just like used my fob to get in, set the alarms off, and threw my keys on the desk and just left. I was like, I'm never coming back.
You were like, I can't even get a recommendation letter from these guys.
No chance. They were so mad at me. I went to like a dinner afterwards, like the next day with all my coworkers, and they were like, "What the fuck, Ken?" I was like, "I'm sorry." Yeah.
When you said I went to dinner, I literally pictured you breaking into the office to turn your keys in and then like going to a nice restaurant afterwards and being like, fuck those bitches, you know?
I mean, it was basically like that. It was basically like that. Everybody's like, "Yo, what the fuck, dude?" You
I like how you still show up to the company dinner the next
Yeah.
day.
I don't care. I have no cares. I was just like, "What's up, y'all?"
That's one
Have
of
a
my
good time.
favorite things about you because you talk about shit that you do at your day job. Like, because you've had a couple day jobs since I've known you. And, like, you always just talk about shit that you do at them. And I'm like, wow, Ken gets away with
No
everything
fucks given.
because he doesn't care.
Mm-mm. I'm like, if you fire me, great. I
Yeah.
don't have to come in.
Yeah, you had you tweeted that the other day. You were like, my boss asked me not to call in on my last day of work. Like I'm not gonna I'm not gonna call in the whole last week.
Yeah, I was like, good luck. I don't know what you expect from me. I'm like, I told her like that I quit my last job without putting in my 2 weeks or anything. I was like, since being in Chicago, I don't put in my 2 weeks.
I
Like,
just leave.
I just leave. Like y'all, Chicago. I hate the people in Chicago. It's like the worst coworkers ever.
Oh really?
Yeah, all of my work experiences have been awful.
Yeah.
And so that's why when I was like, I'm just gonna do comedy full time. Like
Right.
I'm making enough money where it doesn't like I can do it.
Right.
But yeah, it's been terrible work experiences. So.
So did you quit this current one that you're about to leave because you're going full time comedy again?
No,
or
I'll never
you're
do that
switching?
again. I will never. Comedy is it's the spouse that beats me.
Yeah.
Like I'm never gonna. I will always have some sort of employment now because of that. That is out the question. I can be doing Madison Square Garden. I'm still gonna have a daytime job. Like, that scarred me for sure.
Ken Hamlett's big, like #1 on Netflix, and then you go to his local McDonald's, and he's still telling you that the shake machine's broken.
Like, okay, you gotta have a safety net. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
That scarred me. Yeah, that was like a rough time.
Yeah,
Because I was like, oh, it's gonna be a week, and then
yeah.
comedy will open back up. Then like it was like March, and then June. I was like, I don't think it's coming back. I think I have to get a job now.
I think, everyone was kind of in that mindset until the first few months ended, and we were like, okay, I think it's gonna be more than 2 weeks. I just remember being pretty chill throughout like most of the beginning part of the pandemic, and then I think like month 5 or 6 hit, and I just like had a breakdown one day, and I didn't even know why I was crying, and then. And then I was like, because I was with my boyfriend and I like started crying and I like didn't know why, and he was just like, "Do you want to talk about it?" And I was just like, "Comedy's dead. It's never coming back." He was just like, "Allison, calm down."
It's okay. Yeah.
Wow, what a wild time. But we got to meet because of that. So
Yeah,
that's cool.
for sure. Yeah.
And I'm like so thankful that you brought on so many comedians from both Chicago and the Washington area. Cause like now, I mean, I know several of the people from the Washington area who've either traveled down here or moved down here, like Cole Robeson moved down here.
Yeah.
And they're all so funny. Like Josh Firestein, Luke Severide, is that how you say it?
Severide, yeah.
Severide, like those two I see clips from all the time, and they've both visited down here, and they just destroy. Like
Yeah.
that's a comedy hotspot up there.
The Northwest is like very slept on. Like people don't know. I say it all the time. And I stand by this. The Northwest has better comedy than Chicago, and everybody holds like Chicago up to this like on this pedestal of
Right.
like comedy. But the Northwest is like we have killers in the Northwest. Like,
Yeah. Sherry Hardman too was just down
Sherry
here.
was just here last week. Yeah.
I didn't get to see her because I was out of town, but I saw that she was here, and I was like, "Shit, she's so funny."
She's funny.
She destroyed on our show.
Yeah, she is hilarious.
Yeah,
I
she's
freaking
just
love
like one
her.
of those people she's just funny. Like if she never did comedy, she would have just been funny.
Yeah,
You know?
she would have been like that big boobed funny lady at lunch. Somewhere. Just like
Like, fuck it, you know who I am. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. And like I've never done stand up in Chicago, so I'm curious. Like, do you think a lot of people call it a comedy hotspot because Second City is there? Like, are people lumping improv and stand up kind of together in one world most of the time up there?
I think so. I think a lot of it comes to like what it was,
Mm.
like Bernie Mac, Dion Cole. Like there's
Yeah.
a lot of greats that really made themselves out of Chicago.
Yeah.
And so people like hold on to like all of those greats and they're like, and Hannibal just like, I
Right.
mean, I would say he's like the most recent person that's like blown up out of Chicago.
Right.
And so people like still hold it to like, that's what Chicago is. And I think a lot of it is like people holding on to that and not working to be great like they were. And so there's still like Chicago still has a lot of fucking killers.
Well, there's a ton of people that move there because, like, if in my head, pre-COVID, it was like New York and LA were the places that you went to be where the main industry was, but Chicago was like the training wheels for that.
Yeah, that's what people say all the time.
You know, and then like Denver and Austin were kind of like they had scenes and like you could get a lot of stage time there, but they weren't quite at the level of Chicago or New York and LA.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I do know, like, Beth Stelling came out of Chicago. Like, she's still kind of on the up and up, but, like, she's gotten some Netflix work. She's one of my favorite comedians, and she's very funny. But, yeah, I was just curious about that because, like, every single time, you know, you tell someone you do stand-up, and they're like, oh, I love SNL, and you're just like, okay, like, what do you do in your skits? It's just like...
I actually blow up balloons with my asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to tell you.
That's so gross.
I don't know where that came from. I don't know why I said that.
But yeah, it's like, I don't know. It seems like a lot of the times, like when you talk to people who don't know about comedy, they just think that there's a lot of stand up in Chicago because of Second City. So I was curious about like actual stand up because I meet so many people from there. So I assume that the scene is big and good.
It's big. It's huge.
Yeah.
There's a lot of comics in Chicago.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of good comics, but I think like when I say the Northwest is better, I'm talking like pound for pound, right? Like
Right.
when you look at like dogs with their like bite pressure or whatever, some smaller dogs
Right.
like per pound have like a stronger bite.
Right.
I would say like the Northwest, like we have like some of the best comics, like especially when you're looking at like intermediate tier
Right.
comics. I don't think that out of all the scenes that I've been to outside of like New York, there's no scene that's like as good as like the Northwest.
That's a good way to describe it too, because like I'm noticing this in the Austin scene a lot, and like it was definitely a thing in. I never really spent time in the New York scene, but it was definitely a thing in LA where like just because someone is an LA comic doesn't mean they're good.
Yeah.
And like it was so often used as like a clout thing to say like, oh, I'm an LA comic, can I get a spot? But like you go to LA and there's just so many fucking comedians.
Yeah, so many bad ones.
And
too.
yeah, but like when you say there's so many comedians, that means that there's so many more of all the levels, right? So like even though the Northwest might have fewer people overall, like that means there's also fewer bad ones.
No, there's a lot of bad ones.
But there's fewer. There's fewer of all of them.
Yeah.
And whatever it is about the top tier people there, it's pushing the intermediate ones to get better too, which is like in some ways I felt like that's how Austin kind of used to be. Like the people who were local that were really good and getting road work and things like that, like they set a certain standard for the locals here. And like we definitely had a lot of bad people, we had a lot of intermediate people, we had some really good people, but the scene was still at a certain size to where like it wasn't overwhelming.
Yeah.
And the number of people trying to get stage time wasn't just insane.
Yeah.
And now with everyone moving here, it's starting to feel more like Los Angeles, where like comedians are just disposable almost because there's so many of us.
I've been saying that for a long time though. Even when we were doing the show, I was like, y'all are gonna be the new LA.
You told me that. I remember that.
I said that so long ago.
Oh fuck! I forgot you called that too. I
said it so long ago. Y'all are literally LA now.
It's crazy. Well, definitely like some of the way things are run is more Los Angeles now. Like, I remember Romo Room tried to do slotted mics like pre-COVID, and they got so much backlash because they were just doing it like LA, where you pay like $2 to $5, you be there for an hour, and like they were like mad because people were mad because they were charging comedians for stage time, which I understand that argument, but like the benefit of a slotted mic is there's 6 of you on the lineup for 1 hour. You only need to be there for an hour. You each get 10 minutes to work and then you leave. So you're
Yeah.
paying for the convenience of not having to waste 3 hours waiting to go up.
Yeah.
But now it's like that's all Romo Room does is slotted mics. I don't think they're paid anymore, but like they still structure it that way, and that's such a Los Angeles thing.
Yeah.
There's so many shows that like maybe there's 4 or 5 people build on the lineup, but then it's a 10-person show because of all the drop-ins. You know,
Yes.
so like the shows end up going 2-3 hours, which is such a Los Angeles thing.
Yeah.
And like Austin is still not used to that, you know?
Yeah, we were just talking about that last night because I did Romo Room and I was at Creek in the Cave.
Yeah.
And they were talking about like how they're doing auditions now at Romo Room.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay,
For
yeah.
hosting spots. And
Yeah, I was like, y'all are literally becoming like
Yeah.
an LA type of scene.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know I just saw that post about auditions too. But like, you know, I mean, like I said, if there's so many people in the scene, if you're a Creek in the Cave comedian, like there's not really lines in the sand as far as like you perform there, so you can't perform here. But it's like if you're a comedian who tends to hang out at Creek in the Cave and you're good and you work there a lot, the Romo Room might see that you're getting booked a lot, but they don't know your stuff, you know? So like if you don't have a good tape to send them or you're not, a lot of comedians aren't business savvy. Like they don't
Yeah.
think to send a place, you know, send the club their tape, their new
Yeah.
tape. So it's like, I think that was smart on Romo Room's part just to get more people up that way because it is a little further out of town.
Yeah, it's way out of town.
Okay, it's like 15 minutes on a car, but 2 hours on a bus.
Yeah. Yeah. And the bus also takes 50 minutes to get there.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
But yeah, it's there's definitely aspects of that have changed. But at the same time, I think it makes everyone step up their game a little bit
Yeah.
because there's like business people who know what they're doing now.
Yeah, it's not just like a I don't know, like a free for all type of thing. Now you have to be about your shit and like really understand the
Right.
game, which is nice because it just makes everybody step their game up. Like,
Right.
I'm all for that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the Austin scene now then?
I personally love what's happening.
Mhm.
Like I was happy with how it was before. But it was kind of a conversation in my head all along of like, because I'm still early into comedy, fairly, like I'm three years in now,
Okay,
including
yeah.
COVID. So like pre-COVID, when I was thinking about comedy and long term and what do I want, I was like, I want to get good here first. And then maybe in 2-3 years, I'll have the conversation with myself and, you know, whoever, like my boyfriend and stuff of like, do I actually need to move to LA or New York? Like,
Yeah.
I want to get good enough to where I have a fighting chance in one of those places, but like, you know, reasonably, I'm probably going to have to do that.
Yeah.
And then this whole COVID thing happened, and half of LA is here now, and there's more paying opportunities here than probably even in LA.
Yeah.
So we have like,
anyway.
it doesn't pay.
Yeah.
And like, we have 4 or 5 paying clubs here now.
Yeah.
And then, of course, all the other people coming through, you get to meet them, more road opportunities with bigger names. Like, I mean, I'm getting to host for all these crazy names that I never thought I would get to host for or feature for or whatever, you know? And it's just really the opportunity here, especially with how locked down LA and New York still are, beats that now. So for me, I was like, this is actually great. The opportunities I wanted came here.
Yeah. Oh my God, I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, and I already had visited LA so many times. Like I had a friend that lived out there, so I could stay with her for free. So I would go out there every couple months and just check it out, meet people, do mics, do some local shows, whatever. So I already knew a lot of the people out there or knew of them.
Yeah.
And then they started coming here. So for me, it just felt like a clash of the worlds. Like the two scenes that I was most familiar with were both here. And we've talked about it a lot on the podcast, but like there is definitely a split between the old Austin locals and the
Yeah.
new people coming in. And I think it's just going to have to work itself out, you know, like
Yeah.
it's either someone's going to become the alt scene and that's just what it's going to be, or everyone's going to learn how to work together and it's going to be cool. But it's a lot of change for sure, but I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people I've like talked to because I'm an outsider and I'm always
Right.
like honest about everything.
Right.
So I've talked to a lot of comics out here and they're not like the comics that I know that have moved out here
Right.
are happy with like the growth and seeing that things are changing. But the
Right.
comics that are like Austin
From here,
comics,
yeah.
they fucking hate it.
They
Like, they're
do.
not happy about it.
And I understand their perspective. I
Yeah.
mean, like, if let's say, like, we had this is made up numbers, but let's say we had 50 comedians regularly doing stuff in town before this.
Yeah.
It feels like we have 500
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like there's so many more people. And a lot of the old shows and mics and things like that pre-COVID went away because, you know, the Austin comics decided they didn't want to bring it back or whatever. But now as they're bringing back their old shows, there's all these other new shows. So it's like you're competing for audience attention, you're competing for stage time. But it's just on a bigger scale because that was happening before. There were multiple mics and shows a night before.
Yeah.
You were just competing against your friends. And now it's like you're competing against your friends plus 5 other shows, you know?
It's no longer like friendly competition.
Right.
Now it's like a real competition.
It's a real competition. Yeah. Yeah. So, and, you know, everyone can take it in different ways. I mean, I think a lot of the people in the Austin scene liked that it was, everyone kind of knew everyone. And like one of the benefits of living here before was that like, even if you weren't close with someone, you still knew of them. And now is the first time a lot of these people have like had the experience like in LA or New York where you go to a show and you don't recognize half the names.
I kind of like that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't know, like it could be called playing the game, but to me it's like you're just meeting more people in the industry. Like what if you fucking love their stuff and you decide that you want to put a show on together with them, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
I think it just gives more opportunity.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. I mean, that's part of the reason why I like moving around so much too, though, because I
Right.
like being the new guy in a scene. Like,
Right.
Then you're like, every time I go somewhere now in Chicago, people are like, I've never seen you. Or like somebody, and it's usually like, I'm doing like the clubs a lot of the times when I'm
Yeah.
doing shows in Chicago. And then people are like, how the hell are you doing the club? And I don't even know your name. Like, why are
Right.
we on the same lineup?
Right.
And so it's like, I love that part where it's
Right.
like nobody knows you and you just like show up and you're kind of like the mysterious new kid
Yeah.
at school.
Well, that's like the hack that I always tell people if they go, because like I work online for my day job. So like if I find cheap flights somewhere, or like I was opening for a tour before COVID. So it's like if I happen to just be in other cities, I'm gonna try and find an open mic and I'm gonna go and
Yeah.
I'm gonna like do a couple good jokes so they see I'm not crazy. And then like you make friends.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if you're in town for a few days, they'll throw you up on their show and then suddenly you have friends in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Or you have friends in wherever you went. And so it's like, to me, that's really fun because it's
Yeah.
just, again, it's building the network. That's how people are able to just decide they want to go on the road by themselves.
Exactly.
You know, like just hit up all your friends along the way and
Yeah.
they'll book you.
Yeah, or fucking send out emails to clubs.
Send
or
out
whatever it
emails to
is.
clubs, get a
Yeah.
good tape. Like, yeah. So with Chicago, like, I know you when all this stuff started happening to Austin, you like sideways were like, maybe I'll move to Austin. Are you liking Chicago now that things are kind of opening back up again? Like,
I have a real love-hate relationship with Chicago.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's the egos. Like a lot of comics in Chicago have like these egos because they're doing like the club shows, but a lot of our club shows in Chicago are showcases that are
Right.
produced by other comics.
right.
And so I'm like, you're not really as great as you think you are. So part of that is like, I don't like that, but I love Chicago as a city.
Yeah.
It's super like family oriented and stuff, and I have a 3-year-old and
Yeah.
a wife and stuff. So like, we love that aspect of it, but the schools suck ass.
Mm.
And that's like, and now like my son is like, he's
About to
3,
be
so he's
school
gonna be
age.
school age soon. And so
Yeah.
we're like looking at stuff, and I just started a job with like the school district, and you can't live outside of the city of Chicago. Like you can't live in the suburbs and work for
Oh.
the yeah, it's stupid.
What?
So they have all these dumb rules. So there's things that I'm like, I hate Chicago.
You're like, I want to live outside of this city because I don't want my son to
I
go
want
to
my
the
kids
school
to go to
I
these
work
schools
at.
that I work at. Like I see what's wrong here.
You're like, I'll take your money, but you're not putting your hands on my kid.
Yeah. Like I don't want my kids' life to be up to you. Yeah. Like I see how terrible y'all are.
Yeah.
So I really do like Chicago.
Mhm.
And originally when I moved there, it was like we had the plan. Like the discussion was because I bitched out of moving to New York,
Right.
Because I was like, I don't think I'm ready enough for it.
Yeah.
And there was no reason for me to move to Chicago, but I was just being scared, just being a pussy. And so the plan was like, all right, I'm gonna be here for 2 years, establish myself, make like more connections on the road.
Yeah.
So like all of 2019, I was just on the road and just doing a bunch of Midwest stuff.
Chicago's so good for that too. Great location.
Yeah, it's insane. Like there's so many comics in Chicago that just don't go on the road. And I'm like, dude, there's 27 clubs
Right.
like within a 2.5 hour drive. Like, why are you not? There's so many opportunities.
Yeah.
It's insane. But yeah, I love Chicago, but I've talked to Lauren about it all the time. I'm like, we could move to Austin or San Antonio, like be close to. I just want to be somewhere where like I can do comedy. My goals have kind of changed a little bit, and now I
Yeah.
focus more on my show
Yeah.
than like touring and stuff. I don't really even like touring like that because I
Mm.
miss flights and shit like that. So it's
The road
just-
is tiring too.
yeah,
Like
and it's lonely, man. It's so
it is.
lonely.
It sounds like such a dumb complaint to people who don't get to travel much,
No,
but
yeah.
when you're doing that, like especially you
Oh
fly
my
in the day of your
gosh.
show, you fly out early the next day after, it's like
Yeah.
sleep deprivation, you're alone all the time, like you're
Yes.
missing out on things with your hometown friends that are at the local club, like
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah, that was like for me. It was like when I like having my son made me take comedy more serious. But then it got to the point where like comedy was like everything to me,
Mm.
and so then like when I'm doing all these shows and stuff, I was like gone. I believe the first time Kadir walked, I was out of town.
Oh.
Yeah, so like I missed like a bunch of benchmarks. Like I was just gone all
Yeah.
the time, and now I'm like I want to be there for that. So like I was like I want to work at a school so I can get home early. I
Yeah.
can be home and spend time with my family and so now it's a little bit different. And I think like being in a city like Austin where it's like it's pretty family oriented
It
here
is, yeah.
and it's warm. It's hot.
It's hot.
And like not having to deal with winters and stuff. I'm like I could still do Austin, but I don't know. Well, I'm
Yeah.
always like playing it like 2 years at a time. I don't even actually like a year at a time. 'Cause
Yeah.
at any given moment, I could just be like, let's move. I don't
Right.
want to be here. So
I
I
was
like
yeah.
Chicago enough though.
I
Enough
was
to
just
stay.
curious because you had like I didn't know how serious you were, but like when
I
the
was
comedy
serious.
boom was like starting here, you were like, "Fuck, I might need to consider Austin now."
I really was serious, and I still to this day we're in the middle of like a contract to buy a home in Chicago,
Mhm.
and I'm still like maybe I'll move to Austin.
Ah!
Like, I might
I
just buy a
might.
condo out here just so we can have a place out here too. But like
Right.
Austin is like it's dope for a comedy, especially like y'all are just blowing up right now,
Right.
and it's like being in. I'm not an LA person, but it is like being in LA.
Yeah.
Enough of the New York guys are moving out here, so I would like that. But yeah, we still talk about moving to New York too. And
Right.
so I'm like, man, I might just move to Jersey so I can have like some decent schools
Yeah.
and then just go across
Go
the
into
bridge
New
to New York.
York.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you have options for sure. That's like a really interesting place to be in life too, because like I think about I don't want kids. I'm not married yet, like
Yeah.
anytime soon, but like I think about if I end up wanting to have kids, how are you going to manage that? And I know your priorities shift with that. So it's cool that y'all are figuring out
Yeah.
the way to do both.
Well, they're finally shifted.
Yeah.
Before it was before I was like, y'all are just coming with me. Like comedy is number one. Y'all are
Right.
one B. Like
Right. Yeah. 1B.
yeah, like y'all are close. Like it's close. It's a close relationship. But like now I'm like after it was literally COVID that changed everything because I wasn't even actually enjoying touring
Yeah.
because I was just gone all the time and it was just like exhausting. I was only working part-time
Yeah.
for most of 2019 and then it was just exhausting, so I'd fly out Thursday, come back Sunday. I
Yeah.
wasn't really loving it, but I was doing all these dates and going all these different places and meeting a bunch of people, getting to work with a lot of dope comics. And then I was just like, this is not great. And then COVID happened, but comedy was still like number one.
Right.
COVID happened. That was kind of it. I was like, I'm not as in love with this anymore.
Right.
So now I want to slow down and like, it's not now comedy's like my side bitch. Like,
Right. Yeah.
now my family's like my main bitch now.
Right.
So-
Good.
So it took a while.
I feel like that needs to be a shirt. My family's my main bitch.
Yeah.
Sorry, ladies. Oh my gosh.
So it
That's
took
funny.
it took a while for me to like transition that, and now I'm
Yeah.
like I'm like ready to have like another kid and stuff now. So
Cool.
comedy is great, but it's something that I really enjoy. It's not like my whole life now.
Right.
So
That's so interesting. And when you said that you kind of like are focusing less on touring now and more on your show, it's your
Yeah.
podcast.
yeah,
So
the
like
podcast, yeah.
how like because you do that live too. So what do you
Mhm.
typically like? Do you take that on the road? Like, what's typically your process with that? How are you working on growing that and like?
Yeah. So I do the podcast, which the new season is gonna drop actually this next Sunday.
Mhm.
But the live show is like part podcast, part stand up comedy, part drunken like riffing.
Right.
And so we'll do like I'll take it on the road. At first I was like trying to tour at clubs and just headline and feature wherever I could. And now I'm like, I'll pitch it to a club and do like a Friday or a Saturday. Some clubs I'm doing like full weekends at. I have a club back home, the Comedy Shrine in Aurora, where I have the full weekend, like once a month. And so we do 4 shows.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, it's hard on my liver, but
I'm sure, but it gets you so much content.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of shows. So now I'm like, I want to do it. I just want to focus on like producing the show, because even this weekend, tonight actually, I'm at the Creek in the Cave doing the show.
Right.
And so it'd be dope to like have it regularly there, so I have a reason to come back to Austin.
Right.
And then and I have it in Tacoma Comedy Club, Skyline Comedy Club, Capital City, which is now Infinity Room in Salem, Oregon. So I would like to have just like a steady setup between like all the shows where I can do like quarterly or every other month.
In the places where you like to go perform.
Exactly, yeah. So then I can make the money and then do some touring, but not like a ton. Like I was gone every weekend in 2019. I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
I want to go out like once or twice a month.
Right.
Maybe, so.
That's such a good setup though.
Yeah.
That's really, really smart. I mean, all of your moving sounds like it's kind of paid off, because you've got, like we talked about earlier, you've got all these connections.
I got all the connections.
And they know that your show's fun.
Yeah.
Because you did that show at Vulcan last time you came to town. Yeah. And got trapped here with the ice storm. So he was like, I'm moving this show somewhere else.
Yeah. No, I wanted to do Creek in the Cave because it's like a legendary spot for New York. Like everybody fucking loves it. It's like I don't say it's alt room, but it's like it
was kind of considered that though, especially right before it moved. I had who was it that I opened for? Shit, this is so bad. John Marco Sorcy. I don't know if you know who that is.
I only know black comedians.
He's a New York guy that headlined Creek in the Cave like 2 weeks ago or whatever, and I got to feature for him. And he was like so excited to be at the new Creek in the Cave, because he was like, I missed the New York one, and he was telling me all the shit. But it's funny that you mentioned the thing about people like having egos about performing at clubs, because like I get put on so many showcases at Creek in the Cave, and that was my first time actually getting booked as a feature. And it was just funny because like I had someone saw that I did a showcase at Creek in the Cave a few weeks ago, and they're like, that's so prestigious. Oh my gosh, you're performing at Creek in the Cave. And I was like, no, man, you just need to be friends with the comedians booking it.
Yeah, you're like, nah, my friend Johnny has a show.
Right, yeah.
So, it's not that cool.
That's the thing people don't understand. Even like Comedy Store has so many showcases that it's like, no, you're not a paid regular. You're doing your friend's show, you know?
Yep, that's exactly it. Like when I moved to Chicago and I was doing like Laugh Factory pretty early, people were like, what, you work in the Laugh Factory? I'm like, I mean, I just worked with some comics that saw me be funny and they just booked me for their show. Like, I'm not a regular at the Laugh Factory. I'm a regular on showcases at the Laugh Factory.
But I still get the tape though with the background. You know?
Exactly. I get to take some pictures on the stage and look like I'm fucking famous or something. but like, it's not the same. Like, these aren't the same things at all.
Just embarrassing shit that you do when you start comedy. I definitely someone took a picture of me on the Cap City stage in Austin at like the open mic. I'm pretty sure that was my profile picture like 3 months into comedy.
So fraudulent.
There's so fraudulent.
I see so many comics do that at Laugh Factory because the open mic, and then they're like, I'm at Laugh Factory. And I'm like, that's Laugh Factory Chicago for one. It's not Hollywood. So stop faking. And it was a mic. I know you've never worked at the club. Like ever, not even on the showcase. Why is that your background picture?
Oh my god, I wrote this like satire article for Big Laugh, and it's called "Why Women Aren't Funny," and it's written from the point of view of a 24-year-old legendary open micer in the local scene. And it's just like, that's like the trope of like, I'm just thinking about how I was when I first started, and like every other dude who's like, yeah, catch me on my shows this week, and his show poster is just open mics. You know?
Also, I hate when I see comics. I'm like, don't put a fucking open mic on your, I don't care if you're hosting the mic. Don't put that on the, like, just put the venue space. Don't put open mic on like, do you know how much of an idiot you look like? Like, come on, dude. That is, oh man, I freaking love that. Or when people post like their schedule for it'll be like 3 months.
Right.
And it's like 7 shows, and you're like, don't put that.
Put 3 months. Like,
Just post the posters when the shows are coming
Right,
up, dude. Like,
right.
That's not a busy calendar.
You put so much effort into this.
Yeah, like you went and got the premium account on Calendly or whatever. Like you can't build my calendar thing or whatever to make this sad calendar. Come on,
Yeah.
dude.
Aw.
Just use Microsoft Paint and put your.
It's just the same as like when someone finds out that I do comedy and they're like, "Oh, I've always wanted to try it." And I'm like, "You could do it tonight. You
Yeah.
could go right now. There's 7 open mics in town tonight."
Are
And
you
it's-
one of the people that encourages people to do like comedy when they say
if they
want to?
get like that, I try to like break down like the hype that they've put around it because if someone says, "Oh, I've always wanted to do it," and I like try and see if they're serious first, because if they're seriously like, "This is a dream of mine," I'm like, literally take down the walls in your brain right now, go do it tonight. Because the first time I did an open mic, I was scared shitless. The only reason I went on stage was because I had a funny story that clearly bombed, but like. The only way I was able to get myself on stage was just be like, all right, just get on stage, say these things, don't care what happens, and get off. Like, I was so scared to try it the first time. But I tell people that all the time because it's like, it's anyone is allowed. We used to have a guy in Austin that would come on stage, push his mic away, and just yell at the audience for like 3 minutes at an open mic. And he was I'm pretty sure he was homeless. And I forget his name, but it was like a
Homeless Joe.
1-word name. And
That's
he would.
usually what
Yeah.
names are is one word.
Well, no, like a 1-word,
one
he didn't
syllable?
he didn't have a first and a last name.
Oh,
it was like
okay, got you.
Slayer or something. It wasn't that, but it was some weird word that was
Gotcha.
like, and he would just get on stage and like every other word would be fuck. Like he was trying to make some really serious point, but he's just screaming at you for 3 minutes. And I'm like, that guy's allowed on stage every single time he signs up.
Like, he
You
gets
know?
the same rights as everybody
Yeah.
else.
So anytime someone's like seems earnest and like I really, really, really want to try this, I'm like, just go do it tonight.
Yeah.
Get on stage, bomb, get it over with, and then write a joke. And then just go do it. But like, yeah, sometimes if people are like, "Oh, I'd love to do it," I'm like, "Don't, it'll ruin your life."
That's facts. That
Kind
is-
of gauged by ear with the person. I feel like you're one of those people who actively is like, "Don't do it."
No, I tell everybody to do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm like, do it. It's the best drug in the world. Like, it is literally. I tell everybody, I'm like, it's like heroin, man. I've never done heroin, but
I would
it's
assume.
probably close. Yeah.
Well, that's actually how I've described it. Like, because I've done so many different stage performance things. Like,
I
grew
thought
up.
you were gonna say drugs.
Well, I mean, I grew up acting. I played instruments, singing, dance. Like, I've done so many different things that require you going on stage to perform them. And stand up is by far the scariest thing I've ever done on
Really?
stage. Yeah. Like, I always described it as like being on stage is caffeine and stand up is cocaine. Like, and I've never done cocaine, but that's what I assume.
You're like, I've seen enough movies.
I've seen enough cocaine.
Yeah, you're like, I've seen enough green rooms.
I've been in enough green rooms. Yes. Exactly where I was going with that.
Yeah, it is. I always tell people, I'm like, just do it. It's like
Yeah.
fun. It's definitely something. Like, if you love it, it'll change your life
Yeah.
forever. I was like, there's nothing in the world like it. Like,
Yeah.
nothing feels like that.
And there's no group of people. Gary and I were talking about this before the show. Like, there's no group of people like people who hover around stand up.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts. Like,
Yeah.
like they're insane people.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like a group bandit of misfits.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're all being themselves, like actually being themselves, and
Some
like,
people.
well, the ego does get in the way sometimes.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I feel like everyone is more genuine and
Yeah.
like, because you kind of have to be like to be relatable and funny on
I was gonna
stage.
say, if you want to be good, yeah.
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 And so even if your real self is a fucking lunatic, at least you're being honest.
Yeah, people love a lunatic.
And you're still fun, you know? Yeah. It's definitely, I mean, clearly we both do it. So we clearly haven't been scared away.
Yeah. You know, there's lunatics everywhere you go.
Right.
So
Yeah. Do you want to be a lunatic who's not allowed to express it and has to wear a suit all day? Or do you want to be like me
yeah.
and say, I'm going to dress nicely while putting on spandex and a Hussy magazine shirt? My roommate literally saw me putting on jean shorts saying, I'm going to be professional today. She goes, Allison, those are still jean shorts. And I was like, yeah, fuck it. You're right. I'm wearing spandex.
So, like,
I don't care.
why add the extra layer? I don't.
I'm hot already. It's toasty. Like, just
Fuck it.
whatever. Yeah. That's yeah. You just get to be yourself. So I guess one more thing I wanted to ask you about your podcast.
Mhm.
How did you like get started with that? Because
Oh,
I know
man.
it's been a running joke for us that Kev just loves to drink and doesn't get a hangover. So is that basically it, or like?
No, it started. My buddy Stephen Mays, he stole the show from somebody else. So the show,
You run a stolen
my
podcast?
no. The original version of it was a stolen show. Like,
Okay.
he pitched the idea. I met him. I was running a competition, and he was there. The first time I saw him, he was funny, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Yo, good stuff, dude." And then he was like, "Yeah, like you're funny," and we kind of clicked right away. And then I was like, and I was talking to him about like producing shows and all this stuff, and he's like, "Man, I got an idea," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm always game for new ideas." So he pitched, and he was like, "So there's a show that used to happen in Savannah or Atlanta area, Drunk Sober High, and it's a comedy show."
Yeah. There's one of those here too.
It's
Yeah.
probably the same people, actually. I think
Yeah.
it is, because I want to say that they came down to Austin,
They
or maybe
might
they were
have.
Houston or something.
Yeah.
But so he pitched that, and I was like, yeah, but I don't like doing stolen shit, so we'll change it. And so we called it Inebriated, Hydrated, and Faded. And so, and they, the way that their show goes is like, there's just like comics that like get drunk, and then there's comics that are high, and then there's sober comics.
Right.
And I was like, we'll have everybody go up sober,
Yeah.
then they get drunk and high, and then they do crowd work
Oh,
based off of like
shit.
whatever the topic is.
Yeah.
And so me and him were doing that show like that for a while. And then when I moved, I stopped working with him, and we talked about it. I was like, you can keep the show,
Right.
and I'll do something different. And we kind of just like went our separate ways. But then I knew that I couldn't sell. You can't do a weed show
Right.
in the Midwest. Like, no
Yeah.
clubs are gonna pick it up. It's illegal.
Right.
So I was just like, whatever. I'll cut the weed, and then I called it a drunken night out. And so I started doing it. But then I initially it was just like comics you do stand up, you get drunk, and then that. And I was like, no, I want to add the podcast to be a part of it, because like the podcast is like the part that people love hearing the stories.
Right.
And so then the first weekend that I did it, where comics told their stories, then they do comedy, then they get drunk, and they do crowd work on topics.
Right.
It went like it murdered. It was a great show. People loved it, and I was like,
Yes.
yeah, we got to keep this. Like,
Yeah.
this is perfect. And I was always the drunk captain, anyways, because I'm the alcoholic and he was the pothead. So I was like, it was just perfect. I'm like, I could just drink all the time and just be drunk, and nobody can judge me. Like, nobody.
This is my job.
Yeah, like nobody can say anything, because I'm like, it's part of the show. I'm doing the
Yeah.
theme, like, because normally I would drink all the time anyways. I'll show up to shows drunk, and like people be like, man, you're always just drunk, and I'm like, whatever.
Yeah,
dude.
it's my personality.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're boring.
I'm sorry you get hangovers.
Yeah, and that's also
Get a
it.
better
I'm like,
liver,
yeah.
bitch. I don't know.
Okay, I'm sorry that my body works and yours doesn't. So yeah, I just kept running with it, and
Yeah.
I like getting drunk, and everybody has, and I still open, like, people tell like mushroom stories and,
Yeah.
and LSD stories and all that stuff, but it's primarily about like alcohol, because
Right.
I love a good drunk story, and I love to get drunk and
Right.
get people fucked up. So,
I love that. And there's never a shortage of that kind of story either.
no, not with comics.
Yeah. I mean, I could relate though. Like when I did Shitface Shakespeare, like if you were paid to be the drunk actor, you were being paid extra to get drunk 4 hours before the show
That's sick.
with your drinks also paid for. And then you just got to go on stage and fuck up the entire play because you were drunk and that was your job. And it was like,
That's sick.
it was the best.
I love that.
One of my notes that I used to get, because I'm such a perfectionist, is like, even when I don't really drink outside, like outside of the show, I
Yeah.
never drank. But like, I'm Irish and Polish, and like, I would still drink like a third to a half a fifth of whiskey before the show. And I would be drunk as shit, but I'd still be getting my lines and stuff. And so one of my main notes from the director was like, you need to fuck up more. Like, and so once she gave me that permission, because I was so drunk, like I should have been fucking the play up more. It wasn't because I wasn't drunk.
They're like, who's the drunk one?
Yeah, they were like, why is Juliet saying her lines while drinking her whiskey? Like,
Yeah,
what is-
you got a flask in your pocket,
Yeah.
still drinking.
And so as soon as she gave me that permission, I was like, let's go. And I never like finished a play again. Like as Juliet, I would like hit on Benvolio, have a lesbian wedding, like whatever.
Get drunk and screw up the movie. The whole
Yeah,
plot,
but I get what you're saying though. It's like I made this part of my job and now it's the best.
now it's literally the best.
Yeah.
And that show, it's like a party. And then that's like the catchphrase of the show is like, it's not a comedy show, it's a comedy party.
Ooh.
And so it's a freaking party. We have a blast. People
Yeah.
get drunk. I usually give out drinks at the shows.
Yeah.
I have to start checking in with clubs before I do that. 'Cause there was one club, which we have a good relationship now, but I was like, I'm so used to it. And most clubs don't care because they're making crazy money on that. People
Right.
get fucked up at my show.
Yeah.
And I gave out drinks that night. I was like, yeah, next round on me.
Right.
And normally the club's like, yeah, we don't care, dude. We
Right.
just made $10,000.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, whatever. They gave me a tab afterwards. I was like, yo, what is this?
Ah!
What are you guys doing? Because I like to get people drunk. Like, I give out drinks all the time. I like to get people drunk. We'll do
Right.
like drinking like competitions and stuff during the
Right.
show. It's a freaking blast.
I'm gonna swing by tonight. I'm so excited to see it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope so because you have a guest spot.
Oh fuck! Did I forget?
Forgot. Yeah. Good
What
job.
time is the show at?
That's at 7.
Okay,
That's 7, so we're
tight.
good,
It's
yeah.
4 right now.
Oh damn. Okay.
We'll probably wrap it up soon. I have one more question for you. You can tell me if this is off limits because it's a personal question. But your wife is like super fitness. Like she likes her fitness stuff, right?
Yeah.
Does she like to go out and like drink with you at all, or is she more like homebody?
No, she hates drinking. Now.
Yeah.
She. It's because I overdo it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So she used to go out with me.
Yeah.
We used to get drunk and we would go to this like gay club all the time, and she used to get hit on like crazy.
Yeah.
I loved it. I lived for that.
Yeah.
So, I remember one time she almost got in a fight with this
Oh.
this. I don't know if you can say butch, but like there was
Oh.
this chick that I was like, nah, I'm not helping you. Like
Yeah.
if you,
You're like, "Good
that's
luck,
all you, babe. Yeah.
I
like,
can't hit a girl.
yeah, like that's all you. I don't know. You don't want to pick that fight. But she used to get like super drunk too.
Yeah.
And but now she just doesn't. She
Yeah.
hates that I drink now.
Oh.
Like I'll come home like fucked up. And
Yeah.
She's like, God damn it, another time. But I also got in like an accident while drinking.
Oh shit.
So now she really hates
Was
it,
that
so.
recent?
That was in Chicago. It was it's all good now. The insurance is covered. We're good. I can talk about
Liability's
it.
good.
Yeah,
No
like,
more lawsuits.
we're good. We're out of the lawsuit zone. I think I did get sued, and the insurance company covered it. I hit 2 cars though. That's why. And one of them like went through with the whole shit. Yeah. So she does not like me
Yeah.
drinking at all.
That's why she's like, you have to ride the bus home.
Yeah. Yes.
The number of times I've seen you like on our show walking on the bus or like coming
On the
home late
train,
from
yeah.
work or you like walking down the street to get liquor.
Because there's 2. There used to be 2, but now there's just 1. But liquor store is right by my house, so I'm like, this is the best place ever. I
Right.
love this house. Like,
That's so
if I
funny.
ever run low, I just go to the liquor store. Yeah. And especially during COVID. Holy crap. I was drinking like a bottle a day almost.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Woo!
Yeah.
Wild. Well, I think we can wrap this up. The last question I usually ask people is, what are you excited about right now? And I know that's very broad.
Oh yeah. I'm excited. Just life in general. Everything is like moving in the right direction for me right now. Like it feels good because there was like a moment where everything was just really shitty.
Right.
And so now I just got a new job. We're probably
Cheers
gonna
to
close on a
that.
new house soon.
Yeah.
The show is kind of taking off, and I'm getting like new venues, and like old venues that I was working at are opening back up and stuff. So I'm like everything is just moving right now. It's
Woo.
freaking yeah, it's good.
Fuck yeah.
So,
I
I'm
love
excited to
that.
get drunk tonight too.
Yeah, I'm excited to do a guest spot on the show. I'm glad I mentioned that because in my head when I was coming over here, I was like, did he give me a guest spot? And then I didn't want to be like, hey Ken, can I do?
You're like,
I was like, well, I'm just gonna go to a show anyway.
then I would have called you up and like, oh me, I didn't.
Oh me,
know.
ooh. Well, I'm very excited you're here in town. And yeah, excited for the show tonight. So, do you want to tell the people where they can find you?
Yeah, make sure you check out everything online on my Instagram and stuff is Ken Hamlett, KenHamlett. That's on Facebook, Instagram. Make sure you go follow the Facebook page for A Drunken Night Out. And then if you want to see my comedy dates, all my tour dates and stuff, you can go to my website at bigblackschlongs.com. Big
I
Black,
forgot about that.
SHLONGS.
I went to my Google. I don't know what I was typing. Oh, I think I was trying to go to Big Laugh Comedy's website and I accidentally mistyped it. Like it's blcomedy.com.
Yeah.
But I typed big and the first autofill was bigblackschlongs.com and I was like, fuck you, Ken. Like,
It's a great website.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Ken Hamlett, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you guys again soon.